All right, so are you curious, like, what happens when you just ditch sugar for, like, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
We're gonna find out today. We're diving into a YouTube video by Dr. Eric Berg.
Okay.
It's called "What Happens to Your Body When You Quit Sugar for 14 Days."
Okay.
So this is going to be a deep dive into that video, and we're going to try to give you a really clear and concise understanding of the key takeaways from it.
Sounds good.
So first up,
Hi.
Dr. Berg, he starts off with talking about facial transformation.
Yeah,
He actually uses his own before and after pictures
that's right. You do.
as an example.
Yeah.
And he basically says that when you quit sugar, your face can slim down.
It's a powerful way to illustrate the transformation, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I mean, so many people struggle with that facial puffiness, and you want that nice defined jawline.
Right.
He says you can achieve that just by cutting out sugar.
I mean, who wouldn't want a little natural contouring, right?
Right, exactly.
But what's the science behind that?
So basically, when you cut out sugar, your body is forced to find a new source of fuel,
Okay.
and that fuel is fat, and it turns to its energy stores, which is fat.
Okay.
And one of the first places that it starts burning fat from is the liver.
Interesting.
So that reduction in liver fat is what leads to a decrease in facial puffiness.
So it's not just like vanity. There's
Yeah.
actually like some physiological changes happen.
That's right. It's not just about looking better, you're actually improving your health from the inside out.
Interesting.
And the impact goes way beyond just the face.
Okay.
Dr. Berg, he talks about how giving up sugar for just 2 weeks can have a huge impact on several key organs,
Okay.
starting with the eyes.
Got it.
Eyes, your eyes. He suggests that blurry vision can actually improve.
Well, that's something I haven't heard before.
Yeah.
How does sugar affect our vision?
Well, high blood sugar
Okay.
can damage the tiny little blood vessels in the retina.
Okay.
And the retina is the back part of the eye
Mhm.
that's responsible for capturing light. And this damage to the blood vessels, it can lead to a condition called diabetic retinopathy, which can cause blurry vision
Okay.
or even vision loss.
Oh, wow.
So by reducing sugar intake, you're potentially protecting your eyesight.
So like that's a big incentive to cut back on the sweets, right?
It is a big incentive for sure.
And it's not just our eyes that benefit from reducing sugar intake.
No, it's not.
Dr. Berg also mentions the kidneys.
Yeah, our kidneys are like these tiny little filters in our body
Okay.
that work tirelessly to remove waste from our blood.
Right.
But when there's excess sugar in the system, it can actually lead to inflammation and damage in the kidneys,
Wow.
which can impair their function.
And then they can't filter properly.
Exactly. They can't filter properly, and that leads to a buildup of toxins,
Right.
which can have a ripple effect on your entire health.
So cutting back on sugar could help keep those little filters running smoothly.
That's right. It's like giving your kidneys a much-needed break.
It's amazing how something as seemingly simple as sugar can have such like widespread effects throughout the body.
It is, isn't it?
And speaking of those widespread effects,
Yep.
Dr. Berg also brings up the impact of sugar on our arteries.
Right.
And he uses this interesting analogy of sugar rusting our arteries.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's kind of a simplification, but could you break that down a little bit for us?
Sure. So what he's basically saying is that too much sugar in the
Okay.
bloodstream can lead to a buildup of plaque in the arteries,
Okay.
which is similar to rust forming on metal,
Yeah.
and this plaque, it narrows the arteries,
Okay.
restricting blood flow,
Mhm.
which can lead to high blood pressure
Okay.
and even heart disease.
Right.
So by reducing sugar intake, you can actually help reduce this inflammation and improve blood flow.
And that could lead to lower blood pressure.
That's right, potentially.
Okay. So it's not just about feeling better in the short term, it's about protecting our long-term health as well.
Exactly. It's about investing in your future health.
So we've talked about the physical impacts, but Dr. Berg also claims that sugar reduction doesn't just affect our physical health. It can also affect our mental well-being as well.
Absolutely. Our brain thrives on a steady supply of energy.
Right.
And sugar provides anything but a steady supply of energy.
Right. It's like a roller coaster.
Exactly. It's a roller coaster of highs and lows.
Yeah.
And that can actually disrupt brain function.
Okay.
So when we cut back on sugar,
Mhm.
the brain can function much more efficiently,
Okay.
leading to improvements in memory, focus, and concentration.
It's like giving your brain a much-needed tune-up.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
And it's not just about like thinking clearly, right?
Yeah.
There's also like an emotional component to this as well.
There is. There's a growing body of research that shows a strong link between sugar intake,
Hmm.
and mood swings.
Okay.
And so by reducing sugar, you can help stabilize your mood,
Okay.
create a more balanced emotional state.
Less sugar, more smiles. What about sleep? Does sugar play a role there?
It does actually.
Because I know from personal experience that, like, too much sugar before bed can definitely disrupt my sleep.
Yeah, you're not alone.
Okay.
A lot of people experience that.
Okay.
Dr. Berg, he actually mentions that sugar can interfere with sleep in a couple of ways.
Okay.
First, remember how sugar draws water?
Right. Sure.
Well, this can lead to increased urination,
Especially at night.
especially at night. Yeah, disrupting your sleep.
Right.
But also, sugar can disrupt our hormonal balance,
Right.
particularly the balance of insulin and cortisol, which are hormones that are crucial for regulating our sleep cycles.
Okay.
And Dr. Berg, he shared some anecdotes about patients whose sleep drastically improved.
Just from cutting out sugar.
Just from cutting out sugar, yeah.
Wow.
Pretty amazing, right?
Fewer midnight bathroom breaks and better sleep. Sign me up.
It's a win-win situation.
But let's be honest. Quitting sugar can be tough,
Oh, it can be very challenging.
especially when those cravings hit.
Oh, yeah, those cravings can be intense.
So what do we do about that?
Well, Dr. Berg, he offers some hope here.
Okay.
He suggests that reducing sugar intake can actually reduce those cravings over time
Okay.
as your body adapts to burning fat for fuel.
Okay.
It's not a quick fix, though.
Okay.
It takes time for your body to adjust.
Right.
He emphasizes the importance of reducing your carbs to below 50 grams per day
Okay.
for this to work effectively.
50 grams.
Okay. And it's important to note that we're not just talking about sugary treats here.
Okay.
We're also talking about processed carbs like bread and pasta.
Which often contain hidden sugars.
Yeah, they can be sneaky, those hidden sugars.
Right. And I think that's where things get really interesting because a lot of people don't even realize how much sugar they're consuming on a daily basis.
That's true.
They might be surprised to find out.
Yeah, Dr. Berg, he highlights some shocking statistics
Okay.
about sugar consumption.
Okay.
He mentions that the average person in the U.S.
Okay.
consumes about 13.5 teaspoons
Of added sugar every day.
of added sugar every single day. That's right.
Wow.
And that's 54 grams of sugar.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
And that's just the added sugar.
That's just the added sugar.
It doesn't even include like the naturally occurring sugar
It doesn't.
and like fruits and dairy and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
And he goes on to say that we need to consider the sugar that's found in other carbs,
Like,
like bread, pasta, cereal, crackers,
yeah.
even alcoholic beverages.
Wow.
When you add all that up,
Yeah.
it comes out to about half a pound of sugar every single day.
That's a lot.
68.75 teaspoons of sugar.
Wow. That's mind-blowing.
It is. It's pretty shocking when you think about it.
So basically, Dr. Bird's point is that we often underestimate our sugar intake. And this hidden sugar can be just as detrimental to our health as the obvious stuff.
That's exactly right.
Right.
It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Right.
It looks innocent, but it's actually wreaking havoc on your body.
So what can we do about it?
Well, Dr. Berg stresses the importance of reading labels carefully, being mindful of portion sizes,
Okay.
and making conscious choices about the foods that we eat.
Right.
It's about taking control of your health and not letting sugar secretly sabotage your well-being.
It's about becoming an informed consumer.
Exactly.
So we've covered quite a bit already. The facial slimming,
Mm-hmm.
the impact on vision, kidneys,
Mm-hmm.
arteries,
Mm-hmm.
the brain boost,
Yeah.
mood stabilization,
Right.
sleep improvement,
Yeah.
and the potential for reduced cravings.
It's quite a list.
And all this just from cutting back on sugar.
That's the amazing thing about it.
It is pretty amazing.
Just one simple change
Right.
can have such a ripple effect on your health.
But believe it or not, there's even more to uncover.
Oh, there is.
Dr. Burke also dives into some additional benefits, like reduced inflammation, potential improvements in skin conditions,
Right.
and of course, weight loss.
Right.
Yeah.
Hold on. Didn't he emphasize losing fat, not just weight?
He did. He did.
Is there a difference?
There is a difference.
Okay.
And it's a crucial one.
He explains that carbs can actually convert to fat and cholesterol.
Okay.
And most of the fat in our livers comes from carbohydrates,
Okay.
especially refined carbohydrates like grains, breads, pasta, and starchy potatoes.
Interesting.
So losing weight on the scale doesn't necessarily mean you're losing fat. It's about reducing body fat
Okay.
and improving your overall body composition.
So it's not just about fitting into smaller clothes. It's about feeling healthier and stronger.
Exactly. It's about feeling good in your own skin.
That makes sense.
And this leads us to one of the most crucial points that Dr. Berg makes in his video.
Okay.
The concept of insulin resistance.
Okay, I've heard this term thrown around a lot, but I'm not sure I fully grasp it.
All right, so think of insulin as a key
Okay.
that unlocks the doors to your cells, allowing glucose to enter and be used for energy.
Okay.
When you consume a lot of sugar regularly, your cells can become overwhelmed and start resisting insulin.
So it's like my cells are putting up a wall against the influx of sugar.
That's a great analogy, yeah.
What happens then?
So when that happens, your blood sugar levels remain high.
Okay.
And this can lead to a whole host of problems, from weight gain and a sluggish metabolism to difficulty absorbing essential nutrients.
Yeah.
Insulin resistance can really wreak havoc on your health.
It's pretty serious stuff.
It is. It is.
But I'm assuming Dr. Berg has some solutions for this.
It does. He
Okay,
does.
that's it.
He emphasizes that reducing sugar intake can actually improve insulin sensitivity,
Okay.
making those cellular doors more responsive again.
Okay.
And this can lead to better blood sugar control, improved metabolism, and even potential improvements in muscle tone and body shape.
So by cutting back on sugar, we're not just addressing the immediate symptoms, we're actually tackling the underlying issue of insulin resistance,
That's right.
which can have long-term positive effects on our health.
Exactly. It's about getting to the root of the problem.
This is all really fascinating stuff, but I'm curious to hear more about how insulin resistance can create a weight loss plateau, as Dr. Berg mentioned. That's something I think a lot of people struggle with.
It is a common problem, and we'll definitely delve into that in the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds good. I'm eager to hear more.
All right.
But for now, I think we've covered some incredibly important ground. Who knew there was so much to unpack when it comes to quitting sugar?
It's a journey of discovery, isn't it?
It is, and we're just getting started. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll explore the connection between insulin resistance and weight loss plateaus, as well as some of Dr. Berg's practical tips for reducing sugar intake. Until then, I encourage you to think about your own relationship with sugar. Are you ready to unlock the doors to a healthier you?
I think we all are. So remember how we were talking about insulin resistance
Yes.
and weight loss plateaus?
Mm-hmm.
Let's
Let's dive into that.
let's take a closer look at how those two are connected.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about that because I know a lot of people, myself included, have hit that frustrating wall where no matter what they do,
Yeah.
the weight just won't budge.
Well, Dr. Berg explains that when you have insulin resistance, your metabolism slows down
Okay.
and your body struggles to burn fat effectively.
So it's not just a matter of like willpower or calorie counting.
Yeah.
There's like a deeper physiological process.
Exactly.
So-
Right. It's like your body gets stuck
Okay.
in this energy storage mode,
Right.
holding on to those fat reserves
Yeah.
instead of using them for fuel.
Makes it really hard to lose weight,
It does.
even if you're dieting and exercising.
Even with diet exercise, it can be incredibly difficult.
So Dr. Bird suggests that by addressing insulin resistance, specifically by reducing sugar and refined carb intake,
Yeah.
you can essentially reprogram your body to become a fat-burning machine again.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, but how does that reprogramming actually happen?
Well, as we discussed earlier, insulin is the key that unlocks the doors to our cells,
Right?
allowing glucose to enter and be used for energy. When we reduce our sugar intake,
Okay,
we reduce the demand for insulin.
right.
This gives our cells a break from that constant sugar overload
Okay.
and allows them to become more sensitive to insulin again.
So it's like we're giving ourselves a chance to like reset and become more efficient at using energy.
Absolutely.
That's great. And then as insulin sensitivity improves,
Right.
our metabolism can speed up and our body becomes more adept at burning fat for fuel.
Yeah, it's like shifting from a gas-guzzling car to a fuel-efficient hybrid.
I like that analogy.
You get more mileage out of your energy.
Right.
And this can help us break through those weight loss plateaus
Okay.
and finally achieve our health goals.
I'm also curious about something else that Dr. Berg mentioned. He talked about how insulin resistance can also affect our ability to absorb essential nutrients.
That's right.
Could you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely.
More.
Insulin isn't just about sugar regulation.
Right.
It also plays a vital role in the absorption of essential nutrients like potassium, magnesium, vitamin B1, calcium, and even vitamin D.
Wow. So even if you're eating a healthy diet,
Mm-hmm.
you might not be absorbing those nutrients properly.
That's right.
If you have insulin resistance.
Your body may not be able to properly utilize those nutrients.
So it's like a double whammy.
It is.
You're not only struggling to burn fat, but you're also potentially missing out on those vital nutrients.
Exactly. And that's why addressing insulin resistance is so crucial for
Wow.
overall health and well-being.
It's not just about weight management.
No, it's not.
It's about making sure that our bodies have the building blocks they need
Yeah,
to function properly.
the function optimally.
What are some of the practical steps that Dr. Berg recommends
Okay.
for reducing sugar intake and improving insulin sensitivity?
He offers a range of strategies, but one of the most important is focusing on real whole foods as much as possible. He encourages people to ditch the processed junk,
Which is often loaded with
added sugars.
and refined carbs.
Right.
Instead, prioritize nutrient-dense foods.
Yes.
Like vegetables, fruits, lean proteins, healthy fats.
Absolutely. Those are the foundation.
It sounds like a pretty sensible approach.
It is.
It's about making informed choices and nourishing our bodies
Right.
with the foods they truly need.
Exactly. Giving your body what it needs to thrive.
But I'm sure there's some more specific recommendations as well.
There are.
Right.
For example,
Okay.
he suggests starting by eliminating sugary drinks like soda juice and sweetened coffee.
Okay, those are often empty calories
They are.
that contribute significantly to sugar overload.
That's right.
He also recommends reading food labels carefully and being mindful of hidden sugars in processed foods,
Absolutely.
even those that seem healthy,
Right.
like yogurt or granola bars.
Yeah, those can be sneaky.
It's like becoming a sugar detective.
It is.
We have to be vigilant
Right.
and learn to spot those sneaky sugars lurking in unexpected places.
They're everywhere.
It's about empowering ourselves to make informed choices.
Exactly.
We're not victims of the food industry.
No, we're not.
We have the power to choose what we put into our bodies.
We do.
And as we become more aware of the hidden sugars in our food, we can start making gradual changes
Yeah.
to reduce our intake and support our health.
It's about taking control
Right.
of your health destiny.
Speaking of empowering choices,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Berg also emphasizes the importance of losing fat, not just weight.
Mm-hmm.
He seems to be a big proponent of building lean muscle mass.
He is.
I imagine that plays a role in improving insulin sensitivity
Absolutely it does.
as well.
Muscle is metabolically active tissue,
Okay.
meaning it burns more calories at rest than fat.
Okay.
So by increasing our muscle mass through exercise,
Okay.
particularly strength training, we can boost our metabolism.
And improve our body's ability to utilize glucose effectively.
Okay.
So it's like a holistic approach,
It is.
combining a healthy diet with regular exercise
Yeah,
to optimize both our body composition and our metabolic function.
you got it.
This approach can have benefits beyond just weight management and insulin sensitivity.
Absolutely.
Right.
Dr. Berg highlights that it can also improve mood,
Okay.
energy levels, sleep quality, and even reduce the risk of chronic diseases like heart disease and type 2 diabetes.
It sounds like a win-win situation.
It is.
But I'm curious to hear more about the connection between insulin resistance and some of these chronic diseases.
Sure.
Dr. Berg mentioned that link, but we haven't really explored it in depth yet.
Well, when our cells become resistant to insulin,
Okay.
it creates this cascade of negative effects
Oh.
throughout the body.
Right.
Chronically elevated blood sugar levels can damage blood vessels,
Okay.
increase inflammation, disrupt hormonal balance,
Okay.
setting the stage for a range of health problems.
So it's like a domino effect. Insulin resistance triggers a chain reaction
Yeah.
that can lead to serious health consequences
Go down the road. Yeah.
down the road.
And this is why Dr. Berg stresses the importance of addressing insulin resistance early on,
Right.
before it progresses into more serious conditions, by reducing sugar intake,
Okay.
improving our diet,
Right.
and incorporating regular exercise. We can help reverse insulin resistance and reduce our risk of developing those chronic diseases.
So it's a powerful reminder that our lifestyle choices have a profound impact on our long-term health.
They do.
But I'm also curious about like the emotional and mental aspects of quitting sugar.
Okay.
You know, we touched on this briefly earlier, but I'd like to explore it a little further.
Sure.
Dr. Berg mentioned that reducing sugar can lead to a more stable mood
Yeah.
and a greater sense of well-being.
That's right.
How does that work?
Well, when we consume sugar,
Okay.
it triggers a rapid release of dopamine,
Mm-hmm.
which is a neurotransmitter that's associated with pleasure and reward.
Okay.
This creates a temporary feeling of euphoria,
Right.
but it's quickly followed by a crash
Yeah.
as blood sugar levels plummet.
Great.
And this roller coaster of highs and lows
Yeah.
can contribute to mood swings, irritability,
Yeah.
and even anxiety.
So it's like we're on this constant sugar high, followed by a sugar crash,
Yeah.
and our emotions are along for the ride.
Exactly. It's an emotional roller coaster.
By reducing sugar intake, we can break free from this cycle
Right.
and create a more balanced emotional state.
That's right.
Our mood becomes more stable,
Mm-hmm.
we experience fewer cravings, and our overall sense of well-being improves.
It's like finding your emotional equilibrium.
It sounds like a much healthier and happier way to live.
It is.
But I imagine there's like an adjustment period?
There is.
Right.
Our brains are so accustomed to that dopamine rush
Right.
from sugar.
What happens when we suddenly cut it off?
Well, initially your brain might protest, sending out those craving signals.
Right.
But as we stick with it and
Yeah.
our bodies adapt, those cravings gradually diminish.
Okay.
And as we experience the positive benefits of reduced sugar,
Yeah.
increased energy, better sleep, improved mood,
Mm-hmm.
it becomes much easier to resist those temptations.
It's like we're rewiring our brains to find pleasure in healthier habits
Exactly.
instead of relying on that quick fix
That's right.
from sugar.
It's about finding sustainable sources of joy
Right.
that nourish your mind and body.
And it's not just about willpower, right?
Yeah, it's not.
It's about creating a supportive environment for ourselves,
Absolutely.
like surrounding ourselves with healthy food choices,
Mm-hmm.
incorporating regular exercise into our routine,
Yeah.
finding ways to manage stress.
Those are all key components.
Can all help us navigate that adjustment period more smoothly.
They can make a world of difference.
It sounds like a journey of self-discovery,
It is.
not just a dietary change.
It's about understanding your relationship with food. Right. Becoming more mindful of your choices.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately taking control of your health and well-being.
And speaking of control, Dr. Berg also highlights the importance of listening to our bodies
Mm-hmm.
and finding what works best for us individually.
Absolutely.
He's not advocating for like a one-size-fits-all approach.
No, he's not.
Right.
He emphasizes that everyone's body is different.
Right.
And what works for one person
Mhm.
might not work for another.
Right.
So he encourages people to experiment,
Okay.
try different strategies,
Right.
and find the approach that helps them feel their best.
So it's about personalization
It is.
and finding that sweet spot
Mm-hmm.
for our own unique needs.
For your unique bio-individuality.
This includes paying attention to how our bodies respond to different foods.
Yeah.
Some people might be more sensitive to sugar than others,
Right.
and they might need to be more strict with their intake.
Exactly.
Others might find that they can tolerate a moderate amount of sugar without experiencing negative effects.
That's right.
It's about becoming attuned to our own internal signals
Yeah.
and making choices that support our individual health goals.
It's about tuning into your body's wisdom.
I'm also curious about something else Dr. Berg mentioned.
Okay.
He talked about how certain foods can actually help us control our blood sugar levels and reduce cravings.
That's right.
Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. He highlights the importance of incorporating healthy fats and proteins into our diet.
Okay.
These nutrients can help slow down the absorption of sugar into the bloodstream,
Okay.
preventing those rapid spikes and crashes that can trigger cravings and mood swings.
So it's not just about what we avoid.
Yeah.
It's also about what we include
Absolutely.
in our diet.
It's about crowding out the bad with the good.
So Dr. Berg suggests focusing on foods like avocados,
Mm-hmm.
nuts, seeds, olive oil, fatty fish,
Right.
lean proteins
Yeah.
like chicken, fish, and beans.
Those are all excellent choices.
These foods not only provide essential nutrients, but also help us feel fuller for longer,
Right.
reducing the temptation to reach for those sugary snacks.
They help stabilize your blood sugar
Right.
and keep those cravings at bay.
It seems like Dr. Berg is a big fan of healthy fats,
She is.
which is something that's often demonized in the world of nutrition.
It is, unfortunately.
Right.
He explains that our bodies actually need these fats
To function properly.
to function properly.
They play a role in hormone production,
Yeah.
cell growth, brain health,
Right.
and even satiety.
They help you feel full and satisfied
Right.
after meals.
So it's a reminder that not all fats are created equal.
Absolutely.
There are good fats and bad fats.
Right.
And it's important to choose wisely.
You got it.
But I think we're starting to get into some pretty nuanced territory here.
Yeah.
Maybe we should save some of these dietary tips for the next part
Okay, sounds good.
of our deep dive.
We've covered a lot of ground already,
We have.
from the connection between insulin resistance and weight loss plateaus,
Mm,
to the importance of listening to our bodies and choosing nutrient-rich foods.
right.
But there's still much more to explore,
Yes.
including some practical strategies for navigating those sugar cravings
Okay.
and making lasting changes to our diet and lifestyle.
That's right. Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll delve deeper into Dr. Berg's recommendations for reducing sugar intake and creating a healthier, more balanced relationship with food.
So, welcome back to our deep dive into Dr. Berg's insights on quitting sugar. We've covered a lot of ground already, like the surprising ways sugar impacts our bodies to, that crucial role of insulin resistance. But before we wrap up, I'm really eager to hear more about those practical strategies for actually like reducing our sugar intake. I think that's where a lot of people struggle.
Yeah, you're right. Knowledge is power, but it's the application of that knowledge that truly makes a difference. And Dr. Berg doesn't just leave us hanging with a bunch of information. He actually provides some actionable steps we can take to, break free from sugar's grip.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Mhm.
What are some of his top tips? Well, he reiterates the importance of those like foundational changes we discussed earlier,
Right.
focusing on whole unprocessed foods, prioritizing protein and healthy fats, and eliminating sugary drinks. But he also gets into some more specific strategies like, for example, he suggests gradually reducing your sugar intake rather than going cold turkey.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think like drastic changes can be really overwhelming and often lead to rebound cravings.
Exactly. It's about finding a sustainable approach that works for you.
Yeah.
He also emphasizes the importance of being prepared. He suggests having healthy snacks readily available, like nut seeds or hard-boiled eggs, or not caught off guard when those cravings hit.
Yeah, that's a great tip. I know for me, if I don't have healthy options on hand, I'm way more likely to cave to those sugary temptations. It's all about like setting ourselves up for success.
Absolutely. And he also encourages us to be mindful of our triggers.
Mhm.
What situations or emotions tend to lead to sugar cravings? Is it stress, boredom, or maybe certain social gatherings? Once we identify our triggers, we can develop strategies to cope with them in healthier ways.
That's so important. It's about like addressing the root cause of those cravings, not just trying to white knuckle our way through them.
Yeah.
But what about those times we do indulge? Like Dr. Berg doesn't paint sugar as this evil villain that we need to completely banish from our lives, right?
No, he's not about deprivation. He acknowledges that there will be times when we choose to enjoy a sweet treat, and that's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
The key is to make those indulgences intentional and mindful, not impulsive or driven by emotional eating.
Right. So it's about finding that balance, enjoying those treats in moderation without letting them, sabotage our overall health goals. But I'm also curious about the long-term benefits that Dr. Berg highlights. We've talked about like those initial improvements. We might experience like better energy, better sleep, improved mood. What about the lasting impact on our health?
Well, he emphasizes that reducing sugar can have a profound impact on our longevity and reduce our risk of developing chronic diseases like heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and even certain types of cancer. Remember those negative effects of chronically elevated blood sugar we discussed earlier? By keeping our blood sugar levels in check, we're essentially protecting our bodies from those damaging effects.
That's a powerful reminder that our dietary choices have far-reaching consequences. They're not just about how we look or feel today. They're about setting ourselves up for a healthier future. But, beyond the physical benefits, Dr. Berg also touches on like the mental and emotional transformation that could occur when we break free from sugar's grip. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. He describes a sense of clarity, focus, and emotional resilience that emerges when we're no longer riding that sugar roller coaster. We're less reactive, more balanced, and better equipped to handle life's challenges, and this in turn can lead to greater self-confidence, improved relationships, and a more fulfilling life overall.
It's like we're reclaiming our power, not just over our physical health, but also over our mental and emotional well-being.
That's a great way to put it. It's about taking ownership of our health and making choices that align with our values and goals. And while the journey might not always be easy, Dr. Berg reminds us that it's incredibly rewarding. The benefits we experience both physically and mentally far outweigh the initial challenges.
So as we wrap up our deep dive, what are some key takeaways you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I think first and foremost, it's important to remember that knowledge is power. By understanding how sugar impacts our bodies, we can make informed choices that support our health. Secondly, it's about finding what works for you. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. Experiment, listen to your body, and create a sustainable plan that you can stick with. And lastly, don't underestimate the transformative power of reducing your sugar intake. The benefits are far-reaching and can positively impact every aspect of your life.
Those are some great points. And I think it's worth reiterating that, Dr. Berg doesn't advocate for perfection. He emphasizes progress over perfection. It's about taking small steps, making gradual changes, and celebrating those victories along the way.
Absolutely. It's a journey, not a destination. And every step we take towards reducing our sugar intake is a step towards a healthier, happier, more vibrant life.
Well said. And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into Dr. Berg's insights on quitting sugar. I hope this exploration has been informative and inspiring. And remember, the power to transform your health is in your hands. What choices will you make today to create a sweeter, healthier tomorrow?